Hello, my beautiful friends. I bet you're wondering why you're seeing me. Well, that's a good question. So, I had an amazing time in Florida. It was truly probably one of the coolest things I've done in my life. But I contracted pneumonia on the way down. And like you, I don't sound like I have pneumonia. I certainly don't feel like I have pneumonia. So, the long and short of it is that my job, I was a disaster assessment, and there are lots of jobs that happen when the Red Cross deploys. I mean, it is such a well-oiled machine, like seriously. A lot of retired people, because most of us are working still, and so we can't really take 2 weeks off. But if you have the ability to serve in this capacity, there are all kinds of different jobs. And so I left on Thursday. Like I said, I didn't have a lot of time to make the decision to go, so I went. And then they fly you down, and then you stay in a staff shelter with 98 other people who are snoring. And I got there late, so everybody was asleep by the time I got there. So then the next day, you go to headquarters and you get assigned to your team that you're going to work with. And the job that I do is probably the least sexy of all the jobs, but it's really, really important. So pretty much you get assigned a neighborhood, and then you walk from house to house, and you document the damage. And that's so that the people who need the most help get help first. So if their house is completely destroyed and wiped away, like those are at the top of the list, and then major damage and so on. So, but you literally, like, you drive and you walk. And so, we were doing miles, 10, 12 miles a day. Like, you're walking constantly, but it's Florida, it's flat, it was really hot. I don't know why anybody lives in Florida. It's so hot there. It's super, super hot. So, I was fine. I didn't feel winded or anything like that. But it was really hot, and then we would go into really cold, like air conditioning, like supercharged air conditioning, like colder than any air conditioning I have up here in Pennsylvania. So I thought, when I started coughing on Sunday night, I thought it was just a reaction to, going in from the hot to the cold, the hot to the cold. So, and working long days, because pretty much like you're up and out by 6:30, and then you work until 7:30 every night. So you're out, and like you're stationed in a town that has electricity and power, right? So we're in Tallahassee, but we're driving every day 2-3 hours to the sites that don't have electricity, don't have power. So I started coughing. I didn't get any sleep, and I knew that we were going to be driving 3 hours to our location the next day, and I was doing most of the driving with my teammate, and I couldn't stop coughing overnight. And it was a weird cough. It was like a hoarse cough, if that makes sense, like a dry, like really harsh, hard cough. I had no idea. So when I saw her in the morning and I was still coughing, she's like, you need to get a COVID test, because there's some people here who have COVID. So I'm like, ah, crap. So I'm like, okay, well, I was almost due for my day off anyway. So I'm like, all right, I'll take my day off and I'll get the COVID test. So, like well-oiled machine, like staff health services comes. I tell the doctor, what's going on. She's like, I'm really concerned. We're taking you to the ER. I'm like, what? Like, I wasn't coughing during the day. I'm not winded now walking. I can talk. Like, I'm fine. So we go. I have a flu test. I have a COVID test. Those come back negative. They do a chest x-ray, and I have the beginnings of pneumonia. So I say, like, did I bring that with me? Like, did I get that here? And he said, well, where were you 3 days ago? And I said, I was on the plane getting here. He goes, you probably got it on the plane. So I tell the good doctor at Red Cross. She says, well, you need to make your arrangements to go home. I started to cry. I'm like, I don't want to go home. It's like being sent home from camp. I don't want to go home from camp. I'm like having a great time. I can walk. I can do all this. I'm a liability. So they wouldn't let me fly for 2 days. I had to stay in the hotel. So they stocked me up with supplies, and I putzed around the hotel for 2 days, and then I came home last night. And so here I am. But I always believe that Spirit has a plan. God has a plan. There's some kind of plan, right? So it ended up, because of the holiday, that I only ended up using 2 vacation days, Thursday and Friday. Monday was a school holiday, so we didn't have school. And because I have pneumonia, I could convert this week's time off to sick time, and then turn back my vacation time that I was taking this week and next week. So maybe that's because there's a disaster coming down the pike that's going to hit the East Coast and the Eastern Seaboard that I might have to respond to, or maybe there's something else I'm going to need the time for later on. So I'm going to leave it in the hands of Spirit and trust that I was meant to go for a short time. I learned so much. I met amazing people. I mean, I can't even describe to you, like, the people that you meet from all over, like, just, it's overwhelming when you come into the shelter and everybody leaves in the morning and there's just this parade of Red Cross disaster trucks. It's so moving. And then when you see them coming into a town where there's no electric and there's trees everywhere, and like they're called IRVs and MRVs, when these vehicles come in and people just stop and they turn and they start clapping. And it's like, it makes you cry. Like, I mean, my job's not sexy at all, but everybody I met, like I met all these people, the people that live in the houses that were, and just, the tremendous spirit of coming together and working together to help each other, neighbors helping neighbors. Church of Latter-day Saints had a crew there, cutting trees for people to get them, out of the yard. And like, they were just, for free. Like, there was no, just the different marinas providing food to the people because there was no refrigeration, people providing ice, FEMA was there, Red Cross was there, there was a medical group there, just everybody coming together. And I had met a British man, and his house wasn't too badly affected, but he said this was his first American natural disaster, and he said, I am blown away, and he said this in an accent which I can't produce for you. He said, I'm blown away with how many people have come into this town, this small town, to help. He's like, you don't see that on TV. You don't see the number of people that, come in to help. And so that was, pretty tremendous. So it was an amazing experience. But I'm home. So I'll be back to pulling runes tomorrow. I'm going to pull one right now just for energy from Spirit, just to see what Spirit has to say right now. Got a few subscribers while I was gone. That's great. So if you're new, welcome. If you're not new, I'm happy to see you again. Like and subscribe and all that jazz. Let's see. Oh. Spirit, they got for us. What do we think about when I meditate in a few minutes? You want to come out. What are you? Oh, Kinaz. Which is torch. Light and illumination. Go forward on the path. You use a torch, you use a flashlight when the path is dark and you don't really know. You can be the torch, you can follow somebody else's torch, but Kinez is all about illumination and lighting the path. So there's some reason I had to come home. There's somebody here who maybe needs something, maybe I needed to be home. Maybe, Spirit just didn't want me to get sick, because, I really did catch it at the beginning. I'm on so much medicine, I can't even believe it. He prescribed, like, 6 things. I'm, like, all kinds of syrups. And then my husband and I made fire cider, because, I'm a little bit of a witchy woman. So, this is, if I can think about it, I'll give you the recipe. It's my own recipe. It's basically, it's, vinegar with the mother in it, apple cider vinegar with the mother in it, turmeric, ginger, horseradish, grated horseradish, okay, what the heck else is in it? Cayenne pepper, ginger, did I say that? You can also put things like honey in it and pepper. You can put pretty much everything hot. And then this is this is called a quick draw, which means I can start taking it right away. Most fire ciders and the fire ciders that I'm going to be making this weekend, which come out of this fancy book, those need to sit 4 to 6 weeks. But this is a quick draw. So I made it and I've already started taking it. And it makes you sweat from the inside. So that's in addition to the multiple packs of pharmaceuticals that I have over here. It's like a little pharmacy. Anyway, it is so good to be back. I wish I could have stayed longer, but there's a bigger picture. Remember I was getting that big picture card before I left? Well, there's a big picture and I don't know what it is. So I am wishing you all the very best in light and love. Be well. Take care. Bye-bye.